quartiles and the 5-number summary. Let's get started. Data can be broken down into two halves using we already know this, the median. That is our middle number. It splits the data in half. If we want to divide the data into quarters, we also need the quartile values. Okay, so let's look at an example of a data set and actually go through some steps to find this. All right, so the first data set we see here, and the numbers are listed, and the first thing we need to do is to put the data in order from least to greatest. So that is done here for us, 7 all the way up to 23. We're going to then go ahead and find the median. So the middle number here is 16, and we're going to kind of isolate it, and we're going to kind of move the numbers that were below the median into the lower half, and the numbers that were above the median into the upper half. Great. Once we have the lower half and the upper half, we're going to kind of find the median of each of those smaller sets of data. So for the lower half, we're looking in between 10 and 11. So halfway between there is 10.5. And halfway between 19 and 21 is 20. And again, if you need the extra step, you can add 19 and 21, divide by 2, and you get 20. An important thing to note when you're defining the lower half and the upper half is that the median is not in either half. If we included the median in like the lower half here, that would change things because now the middle number would be 11, but it's not. The median stays out of both the lower half and the upper half of the data sets. Great. So right there, we actually went through and we found 5 important numbers. We're going to go ahead and describe those and kind of pull those apart right here. So the first number that we actually found is what we call the lower extreme. It sounds so dramatic when we say that. It just means the smallest number. And it's often abbreviated as Q0. So that is the smallest number. The halfway point of the lower half is basically a quarter of the way through the data, so it's called the lower quartile, and that is 10.5. The median we've done before, halfway through the data, is 16. Halfway through the upper half of the data, or the upper quartile, in our case, was 20. And then the upper extreme is the largest data value in the set, and that is 23. These 5 numbers are sometimes referred to as the 5-number summary. They tell us a lot of important information about a set of data. Another thing that we can use after we can calculate after we have the 5-number summary is the interquartile range, or IQR. And the IQR can be found by subtracting Q1 from Q3. So we're taking the smaller away from the bigger. So in our case, 20 minus 10.5 is 9.5. If you remember from the beginning of the unit, we mentioned that IQR is a measure of variability. So this is showing how spread out the data is. If the IQR is small, the data is relatively close together. Larger IQRs, data is more far apart. Okay. Let's do this again for another set of data. So we see the data here, and the first thing we must do is go ahead and put this data set in order. So 65 is the smallest, then 71, 81, 83, 87, 90, 94, and 99. Well, before we even do any calculations, we could right away go ahead and pull out the smallest and the largest as our Q0, lower extreme, and Q4, upper extreme. Great. So now we're going to go ahead and work our way in from the edges to find the median. So in this set of data, a little bit different than the first set, we have an even number of data points in our set. So the median is going to be halfway between 2 values. So many of you can see right away that that is going to be 85. If you need to, you can add 83 and 87, divide by 2, you'll also get 85. So that is our Q2, or our median. All right. Interestingly, because 85 is actually not a number in our data set, all 4 numbers below it are in our lower half, and all 4 numbers above it are in our upper half. So now we're going to look for in between 71 and 81 as our lower quartile. If you need that little extra step, 71 plus 81 divided by 2 will give us 76. That's Q1, or the lower quartile. And on the upper half, we have 90 plus 94 divided by 2 is 92. And that's our upper quartile. Now, this didn't provide a space for it, but we can also find the IQR, and that's found by taking our Q3, 92, minus our Q1, 76, and we get an IQR of 16. So that is how to find the quartiles, the 5-number summary, and the IQR. Thanks all for watching, and hope to see you again next time.